Hey guys.
Hey guys, welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
This week we talk about Encroaching Waters.
Episode 34.
I don't know if we're going to have trouble filling the hour. We may not. But, like, from the standpoint of did a lot happen this episode, the answer is kind of no, but also kind of yes.
A lot happened, but not a lot to further or build new theories with.
Well, that's true. Although on my rewatch, one of the things that I noticed was very much in this episode, you had a 3-act structure almost.
Yeah.
This is another one of those episodes where a lot of people are going to be like, they totally write it. It's all scripted. But that's just because of the way, how good Matt is at structuring his sessions. Because you have the first act where we meet players and are given new information.
Right.
And then Act 2, they go out and they explore that information a little more of the local area.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the climax of Act 3, and the confrontation and the battle.
Right.
Let's go through the episode in chronological, because I do have a question for you, and you guys too, maybe, on Matt's maps.
So, first thing, we got a few things right.
Yeah.
I was right in remembering, having just recently watched those previous episodes about Captain Adele.
Had it absolutely confirmed.
Absolutely confirmed. We were right that Laura was the one that remembered. We were right that Laura would be the first one that would talk to people, and we were right that the turtle would be the first one talked to.
Yes. Yeah.
We said without a doubt it was going to be the turtle. Laura would be the one to actually initiate the conversation.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So we meet Orly, the stuttering Creole turtle with the bagpipes.
Yep, the turtle bard. But you haven't got to see his bardness yet.
True. I mean, he did play the bagpipes.
Yes. But anyone with an entertainer background could have an instrument.
That's true.
One of the things which I've said multiple times here, and totally willing to reiterate every time it happens, but Travis continues to be our avatar at the table, I think, because
for the most part,
he was losing his shit a lot last night.
Yeah.
And they were all busting up.
Yeah.
When he started talking. And I think my favorite Travis moment from last night's game, or Thursday's game. Last night was our game.
Yeah.
Thursday's game was he's laughing hysterically.
Mm-hmm.
And then Matt goes, Travis, and he's just wipes. So, and I think, and maybe that's how he can be our avatar, because he's not shy about enjoying everyone else's performances at the table.
Yeah.
But he also can just turn it on or off.
Yeah, definitely.
Now we got the turtle. Orly says, and they went to that bar looking for information on Lepois and Algar, and for some reason, a dive bar by the sea is where they thought they could get information on the tower.
Rumors.
But Orly turns out to be the contact.
Yes.
For Lepois.
Yes. Being his occasional roommate.
and which I thought was interesting because I didn't know when Matt did the fireside chat. I didn't know if he was gonna just random guy you can run into,
Right.
A potential ally that they can just sort of bring in.
Well,
or if he was going to have him connected in some other way. And having him...
Well, if you look back, the first fan-generated NPC was the drow that kidnapped Terry to take him back to his dad.
That's true.
So he's kind of following that same theme-ish.
Yeah, a potential adversary that they can turn into an ally kind of a thing. Yeah. If Lapointe is indeed... Yeah. So. Is indeed a potential adversary. Mm-hmm. So they have the interaction with Orly, and I love how Matt did that with Caduceus.
Yeah.
Because it's not always the person with the highest charisma score or the highest persuasion check that can get things out of people.
Yeah.
It's the one who can read people the best.
Yeah.
Because had he not done that with Caduceus, and Caduceus not had the skills and everything for it, they might have not gotten the information.
Yeah. Yeah, and they almost didn't get the information until Caduceus stepped in.
Yeah. Other than, he's here, and they...
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's also a good example of a game master not hiding his exposition behind a DC.
Yeah.
A certain PC has a passive perception or what have you. You can just give it to him.
Yeah.
And also one of the seemingly never-ending argument, debate, is a DM screen and fudging dice. And
I'm okay with the DM screen to keep your notes behind. I'm not okay with fudging dice.
Yeah. That's where I come into it as well. And my point always, when I wade into that comment thread, is don't put something behind a dice roll you don't want to leave to chance.
Yeah.
And that was a great example last night of Matt doing that.
Yeah.
He didn't put it behind the DC, not a dice roll. He knows Caduceus is insightful enough to notice what's going on. He tells him. Caduceus runs away with it.
Yep.
Rolls really well on the persuasion check.
Yeah.
Which was a nice bonus. But yeah. We didn't get that he's a tattoo artist or that he does enchanted tattoos.
Right. We did see tattoos, but we didn't get any of that. I think we will revisit him.
Yes. Well, for sure. Yeah, I think for sure. Got to Captain, I want to say Adele?
Adele, yeah.
Okay.
Adele, something like that.
Yeah. The way Ford approached her was funny.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised Matt didn't ask Ford to make a deception check. When she asked him, what rank did you get? What's your specialty? And he's like, I was never much beyond crewman. When he's already told the Mighty Nine that he was second mate? First mate?
Yeah, something like that.
On that ship?
Well, he did say leadership didn't suit him.
Yeah, maybe, but He was lying to her.
Yeah.
Which she basically called him out on when he's like, "Oh yeah, this is my accountant." She's like, "Odd that a simple crewman who never rose above anything has an accountant."
Yeah.
We got to see more of Caleb's social awkwardness.
Yeah.
In that whole thing.
Which I think is fun, considering that he has the second highest charisma of the Mighty Nine.
Yeah.
And just showing that just because you have a high stat number doesn't mean you're good at that thing.
Yeah. Or that you want to do it.
Yeah.
Like Danny and John talk about in season 7 in Game of Thrones. Spoilers, I guess. Anyway, Danny says to John, people like doing what they're good at.
Yeah.
And John says, I don't.
Yeah.
Because he's good at killing and he doesn't like doing it. And I think Caleb's the perfect example. In theory, he is good at talking.
Yeah.
He's good at manipulating people and whatnot, but he does not want to do it.
Yeah.
We got a little more of the not backing up Caleb in the leadership role, and also falling into a general smooth everything over. Although it seems to only be happening between Bo and Caleb.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that's gonna because it could play out a number of ways. It either each member of the Mighty Nine begins taking sides,
right,
and it comes to a full-on dust-up between all of them, between each side.
So if that happens, you've got Nod on Caleb's side, you've got Ford on Bo's side.
High probability. I'll give you that. But I don't want to say for sure.
Where does Jester go? Jester's the big question to me.
I think that depends on what the argument is over.
Okay.
And possibly where Ford goes as well. Okay. And I think Caduceus ends up siding with Caleb more often than not.
Yeah. Well,
than with
as often as not.
Yeah. Yes, as often as not. Yes. Which actually what makes for a pretty good Avengers Civil War setup.
I don't think we'll see that, but
you never know.
You never know.
Well, we've already had in-canon PvP between Jester and Bo.
Yes.
I mean, it was all in fun. But Jester learned you don't pick a fist fight with a monk.
Yeah.
Caleb knows not to get into any fist fights with anyone. So that's not going to be the fight if he picks it.
Yeah.
And we also saw in this episode that Caleb is willing to settle arguments with magic.
We've known that.
He hasn't used it on other party members yet.
That's true.
And this episode was the drug BA moment.
Yeah.
As I thought of it.
Yeah.
When he's like, why don't you just try it? And suggests to Not that she doesn't need to worry about going underwater this one time.
Yeah.
And I loved that interaction, and it got a little meta at the end. But when Caleb says to Not, she says how it's an interesting feeling, and he's like, and I'm happy for you, but it's only going to last another 7 hours and 50 minutes. and Sam played it off where she starts sort of crying.
Yeah.
It's not real, is it? And Liam joked, he's like, make an insight check, laughing. But barring that, like, everything leading up to that was great, but also kind of genuinely kind of sad.
Yeah.
And also, in a weird way, puts not in a position at the moment of all of them to understand Caleb.
Okay.
Because Caleb had his mind affected like that. He was doing things because of magical influence.
Which just leads into what, we talked about, and I said both last week and the week before, we're going to see Caleb coming out with that more lawful evil, more Trent's upbringing.
Yeah.
It just feeds right into that we're seeing that. Every week we're seeing more of that.
Yeah.
So.
And well, that's jumping ahead, but I've got some stuff to say about lawful evil and that coming out of the group in regards to Ford.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it from the beginning, but I think it's safe to say he's not lawful good at this point. But we'll get to that.
Yeah. But they do find out where and when the plow they can find him.
Yes.
We also find out a connection, or Ford gets his first piece of information on starts with an S. What's his name? The guy who blew up his ship. I'm blanking on the name. You guys can remind us. But Captain Adela has heard of him.
Yep.
And who he's running with and the name of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So we have speculated that the captain is that other guy.
Yeah.
Is the one that blew up the ship. If that's the case, and this could be simply a imperfect narrator on Matt's point of view for Captain Adela, because she's just giving them a rumor, where she says he's running with him, not that guy is the captain of that boat.
Right.
And maybe he is, maybe he isn't, because he doesn't have to be.
Right.
And not being a captain sort of makes going by that pseudonym a good hiding.
Even better cover.
Yeah. So.
Like the gentleman.
Exactly. Yeah. I just thought of something, and now I kind of want to see it in fan art. But you remember the Continental? The SNL gag skit with Christopher Walken.
Yep.
Do you kind of see the gentleman there?
Yeah.
I just thought of that.
And now you can't unsee it.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, so that basically in a memento kind of way connects both of the NPCs they talk to in that bar to the same guy in different ways.
Yep.
Because Orly is connected to Lepois, who's connected, if we're right, and that guy's the captain to him, and then Adela and him.
Yep.
And again, that goes back to me pointing out that Matt always has 2 or 3 ways to get to a plot point that he wants to hit.
Which most DMs do.
Yeah.
At least experienced ones.
Yes. Yeah, the remember, railways don't always have just one track.
That's right.
Bo pulls out a persona.
Tracy.
And it was kind of painful to watch.
Yeah.
I think for everyone, even at the table too. And I even probably the worst part though, and the reaction at the table sort of puts me in line with the players, I think. But the worst part of all that was the end, when she totally negged the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably couldn't afford it. Ooh. Yeah, that was rough. But she got the information.
Yeah.
And Matt made her roll, and she made her rolls. We have Ford leaning more and more into his background.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting that Matt took it in that direction. Because strictly speaking, the background feature doesn't allow you to just get a ship or a boat.
No, it allows you to find work on one.
Yeah. But Matt opened it up to allow him to get this boat without paying the guy. Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
And also a good example of how you can broaden the feature a little bit.
Well, yeah.
When it suits the narrative.
Well, and I like that when the narrative suits it, finding unique uses for things.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure he won't be able to do that every time he wants to, but
no.
You know, it's like last night, I used the green flame blade cantrip to sear a tattoo.
Yeah.
Off, which you allowed me to do. It's the only flame-based spell I have, and I just like the idea of the sword wreathed in flame.
Yeah.
Searing the.
Yeah, exactly. They turned a simple recon of, well, let's just find the gates, into, let's break in.
Right. Well, okay, so before they go looking for the gates and all that, Yasha appears at the bar.
Ah, yes.
Ashley back just for the one night, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they were genuinely surprised.
Yeah.
And as Matt describes the figure looming in the doorway, they all got nervous. Or a few of them did.
Yeah, a few of them got really nervous. And then when he said, Ashley, you want to come on in?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Matt was the only one, I'm pretty sure, that knew she was going to be there.
Yeah. And this also, in a roundabout way, plays into our theory that the theme of the campaign has been the poisoned land.
Mm-hmm.
And that the end game for the campaign is to cleanse it.
Yeah.
And that Yasha is the first person that was going to have that storyline.
Yeah.
We now have Caduceus, who's in on that as well.
Yeah.
And I love their interaction. You believe in fate? No. But yet you have a vision of an island and you're trying to get there?
Yeah. Caduceus has just got a way about him. The more I see of Caduceus, the more I like him.
Yeah.
And there was the moment on Thursday where they're going through exchanging names with Orly, and
not Jester giving
Junior,
fake ones.
Nancy, Caduceus, whatever that was.
Yeah, he's like, okay.
Which is going to be fun, because eventually they're going to do that. That's going to happen when someone's going to be observant enough to realize what's going on.
Yeah.
And Matt's going to call them out on it.
Or where lying about their names is going to get them into trouble.
Yeah.
Because in that situation, okay, you gave me fake names, whatever.
Which could come up sooner than later.
Yeah, maybe. So the other thing that made me laugh really hard in that whole exchange was when he demanded a story first.
Yeah.
Before he would give them any of his.
Yeah.
And Jester volunteers to be the one to give him information.
Oh my.
And she says, I'm the daughter of the Ruby of the Sea, and then and like you see it dawn on Laura what she just did.
Yeah, and where she was.
What exactly, and she's like, you're not working for the city, are you? And he's like, no.
Okay, I'm the daughter of the Ruby of the Sea. But let's remember, the last time she piped up when someone wanted something, like, big, was the secret of the Spectre. When they went for the gentleman, that first job they did.
Yeah.
And she does the whole, here bear claws don't have cinnamon, but in Nicodranas they have cinnamon.
Well, that's inconsequential stuff versus like real stuff.
Yeah.
But that also gets down to the fact that Laura has maintained throughout that Jester doesn't lie. By and large, she doesn't lie. She's been one of the most open and honest members of the Mighty Nine with the other members. She plays tricks and jokes, and if lying gets her to where she wants to be to do what she needs to do, she does.
She doesn't lie in the sense that I still believe she's a little bit delusional and believes the lies.
Okay.
I think she's one of those people that will tell a story and all of a sudden she's believing the story.
Okay. We have seen no evidence that is not the case. But we have seen time and again that she has been truthful with them when they thought she was lying about something.
Yeah.
So we get that Yasha has been there for a few days, which means when that kind of checks out. And I'm wondering if Matt rolled dice with Ashley to actually like see what happened in that journey, to let sort of the randomness of travel come in. Because they're using milestone XP, and I think it is because maybe Ashley felt a little cheated by her circumstance in Campaign 1 by being the lowest level out of everybody.
Yeah, possibly.
Because she was missing so much. I think that's one of the main reasons why Matt this time around went with milestone.
Well, I think it was a big part. Again, I'm still a fan of milestone over. You can kind of adjust milestones, give it to them a little earlier if they're good at roll,
Yeah.
Whereas it just seems to be the case in my experience that when you do just XP, it weighs heavier to combat than anything else, and even the DMs with the best of intentions don't put roleplay anywhere near as important as combat.
That's true.
I mean, you can have a super roleplay heavy session and you'll get almost no XP for it compared to as if you had a super dungeon crawl session. In my experience.
Yeah. And the way that I give out roleplay XP is basically how dangerous was the information, nearly exposed, or what were the consequences of this scene when I'm doling out XP for social encounters. But yeah, and Matt, well, he promised. Well, he said he would. I don't know if he actually did, because when he said he would do it at the time, I wasn't that interested in how he was giving out XP last time. But he did have a matrix for social encounters.
Yeah.
And that he would tick boxes.
Yeah. For
the players, and then give out bonus XP for every box he ticked, basically.
Yeah.
So there's also that way. But so we're about where they take the break.
Yeah.
In our discussion of the episode. Do you think Matt has these maps? Like, we know he pre-builds maps,
right,
and stores, and used to store them in Gig and Thunder. He didn't have a lot of room, so he only usually had like 3 or 4. I think is all he had.
Yeah, because he would build them at home and bring them in.
Right. Do you think, now that they have the new studio space, that he has basically and if I were him, this is what I would look to get, but a baker's rack, so he can get basically the sheet pans in this whole thing, and he can have like 15.
I think,
and just go in and.
I don't know if he's got that at this point, but they definitely have some kind of setup like that.
Yeah.
We saw the beginnings of it on the studio walkthrough with Marisha, where
I didn't actually watch that one.
He's got they've actually got all the pieces categorized and everything in a space for maps.
Okay, so he can he has it set up so he can quickly put stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
So that gets to the question that I alluded to at the beginning of the episode, which I had for you.
Okay.
Which is, did he build those maps during the break?
It's actually a distinct possibility. Normally, I would say no.
That break was kind of long,
but that break was kind of long. He may have.
Especially because I think
it's something he probably had designed, but hadn't actually put together.
Yeah, because at some point they were going to be going down there.
Yeah.
So yeah, he definitely had it in his mind what he was going to have in there. But like having it ready to go that night, I don't think he had it. I think he built it right away.
Yeah.
And that's also one of the reasons probably why the fog machine was giving him problems.
Yeah.
When he hooked that up.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because usually you would test if you know you're gonna do it and you want to use it, you're gonna have it ready to go and test it and
make sure it's
yeah. So I think that was the case, that he built those during the break.
Yeah.
And brought them out as needed. The water elementals were a nice touch and a bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised they didn't bother to heal between the encounters.
Yeah.
Because usually they're like, at least somebody spend a spell to top me off or something. Or, hey, can we take a short rest or what have you. The fight was the second fight was more interesting than the first one. And not because it was more dangerous.
Right.
It was more interesting because it basically started off with a whisper. Yeah. Which I don't think has ever happened.
Yeah.
And that was interesting. And Caduceus said something, and Taliesin said something. Sam heard it, picked up on it, but misunderstood it.
Yeah.
So when he not cast Mage Hand, he's targeting the wrong person. But then I think Taliesin realized no one else understood what I said, so he reiterates it again.
Mm-hmm.
That the guy has a bracelet.
Yeah.
Get the bracelet. I love that Not almost broke Caleb's teeth. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, what would you like? What did he have the con save at to resist the breaking of the teeth? I mean, he rolled a natural 20, so it was like a 22 or something that he got.
Right.
But I mean, realistically, Mage Hand can only lift 10 pounds.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure 10 pounds is probably enough to break a tooth.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of, when that happened, that's where my mind was at. I was like, what would you set the DC at? It's only like...
Just get 10?
That's where my brain went.
Yeah.
It was a DC 10, yeah.
That's what I would do.
And I love...
Because he did say it goes over and jams it. That thing travels at, what, 30 feet?
Yeah.
So 10 pounds at 30 feet in 6 seconds?
Yeah.
You know, that's some force.
Yeah. Yeah, 5 feet a second, yeah. I love the edge case of, the necklace stabilizes you. You start drowning. What happens? You drop to 0 hit points. Begin dying. The necklace stabilizes you. But does it? And it's sort of going around in this circle, which I thought was funny, and also added to the tension.
Yeah.
Not's going to eat that weasel. While my brain's thinking about it, because we were talking about, you missed that Matt said that the animals were fine.
Yeah. Because technically they were in
They were whelmed.
They were whelmed.
So, yeah, Matt said the animals were fine, but we also had the bringing them along, and that whole thing was just like, yep, these things are gonna die, and like Marisha just like got up and like walked and just like, oh, I love that. It was great. Yeah, that, and we also had the interaction when Laura's gonna hand the weasel to Not, when Jester's gonna hand the weasel to Not, and she remembers Not has eaten
Frumpkin
twice. And she's like, wait, you're not gonna eat him, are you? She's like, no. I promise not to eat him today. Not's gonna eat that weasel.
Yeah. Which we said when they first got that the weasel would probably end up being Not's snack.
Yeah. If it doesn't drown first. Matt got some flack, I noticed on Twitter, about the octopus being able to get through the grate.
Right. And I love his response. Did you see his response? Zemni and octopus have abnormally large beaks. It's science. Or disproportionately large.
Yeah.
I mean, scientifically, if their beak can fit through, because that's the only actual hard bone in their body, they can get through.
Yep.
Octopi are amazing.
What was it? What creature was that they were fighting?
A Marid.
Marid.
A type of genie.
Native to the plane of water?
Yep.
Which gives them another avenue.
To the Kraken.
Which is where my mind was at when that whole thing was going. Summon the water elemental. Okay, this guy's different. How much trouble do you think they're in?
I think they're in a lot of trouble. All right. And I'll break down for you guys what I broke down for you.
Yeah.
First, they breaking and entering into a government facility.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, punishments in Nicodranas and the Menagerie Coast are much harsher than in the Empire. This has been confirmed many times.
Yeah.
2, Algar is not a combatant. At least if that fight is any indication of his abilities, no.
He didn't have any.
So the fact that he has that bracer, whatever you want to call it, is inherited. Probably a symbol of office because he's the foreman of the sluice weave.
Yeah.
Which means the city probably had someone enslave that Merid, that genie.
Yep.
Probably as a means...
80 years ago.
Yeah. Probably as a means of flushing the sewage out, keeping the water, the tide, everything in track.
Well, the sluice weave seems to be independent of sewage. It seems to be the powerhouse that drives the...
Right.
Factory.
But doing that. Keeping that running and maintained, and so that bracer is probably yes, that probably went to his head, but then we've got 2 people dead, 1 unconscious, that are just government officials. Well, just government officials,
just engineers. They're down there
just
making sure the water
men.
flows. Yeah, they got families. I mean, it's like I almost want to see.
So they've broken and entered into a government facility, killed city employees, and wrecked the power system of the city.
Yeah.
Chester's mom said, no, there's no need to actually hurt him. It shouldn't get that far. She was pretty adamant about that.
Yep. And in the fight, Matt narrated... They go unconscious.
Yeah.
And he was doing everything reasonably possible in a narrative sense to keep him alive via health potions.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, at least because you have to slay the foe to raise the Spectre from the Hexblade 6th level ability.
Yeah. And he called it out. Can I get the Spectre? And Matt's like, yeah. And so, they're in some deep trouble.
They are in some...
And I don't see how this is going to work out for them in any sort of good sense, because that Jin is free. And he's probably going to want payback for nearly a century of slavery.
Yeah.
And even though they might not have killed Algar right now, that Jin's going up there for some payback.
Yeah. And bottom line is, at least in the city eyes, they're responsible for that.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think there's any way they can spin it that they're not.
Right.
I think they entered that situation prematurely. I think Matt had a job for them to do in the sluice weave. That this is something the city needed done, and maybe they are sentenced to do that.
Okay.
Like, well, you broke this part, you're going to fix this part, kind of thing.
Okay, I can see that. That's going to be letting them off light.
Yeah. Now, it's... depending on how soon justice is served, or whether or not any bodies are left behind.
Right.
Because if there's no witnesses, then all the city knows is someone broke in, this thing got out, the foreman was killed, and so were his bodyguards.
Yeah.
There's no one to say it was them. I kind of want Matt to have a scene where he talks about sort of how the dwarf that they killed is a pretty kind-hearted, salt-of-the-earth kind of guy.
Yeah. Meet his widow.
Yeah. And also maybe even that Algar might not have been that bad of a guy, just obsessed over...
Yeah. I actually did something like that in a Call of Cthulhu game I ran. One of the players killed a police officer.
Mm.
And then they ended up meeting his widow and 3 orphaned kids. And they were all in tears from that scene.
Yeah.
And hearing about how good a dad he was and how the kids missed him. So,
yeah.
DMs, they can be a real powerful tool to tug on their heartstrings.
Yeah, especially if you're finding them engaging in murder hoboism.
Yeah, it can be a good counter for that.
Because not all consequences have to be the government or the next guy coming for vengeance.
Yeah.
It's meeting the victims of your actions.
Yeah.
So we teased it at the beginning and talking about lawful evil.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it may end up being something even you're going to struggle with on Monday nights. But how easy is it to play a good warlock?
Okay, well, first thing, on Monday nights, I'm not good. I am pure neutral.
Yeah.
It is... I mean, it's probably a lot easier if you are a celestial warlock.
I buy that. Okay.
But it is a difficult thing.
Yeah.
Especially when you have someone like the Kraken or Hades as your patron.
Yeah.
And just the idea of the warlock in general, warlock patrons, they're not typically deities. They're typically high-powered things.
Yeah.
And can be divine in nature. Hence the celestial and, you know.
Mm-hmm. And arguably infernal, but...
Yeah. But as a general rule, you've got fiends, you've got fae, you've got old ones, you've got hexblades, you've got the undying, and the celestial.
Yeah.
5 of those 6 lend very heavily to selfishness and to manipulation and to that slippery slope of evil.
Yeah.
And one can, depending, because, I mean, there are some very manipulative celestial beings.
Yeah. Well, and the line from the prophecy always enters my head. When Thomas is talking to, I can't remember the woman's name, but he's like, would you ever want to meet an angel?
Yeah.
A being who exists only to serve and always has one wing dipped in blood because you're killing humans for God. Or other angels, for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you don't have to be the servant of your patron.
True. But generally, these contracts are entered in that way.
Yeah, there's generally some kind of favor exchanged.
Yeah. And it also, generally, a warlock is looking for a shortcut to power.
Mm-hmm.
And that also, the greed and what have you, lends itself to those.
Yes. Now, my character entered the pact you could call it greed, but it wasn't looking for a shortcut to power.
Yeah, that's true.
It was looking to a shortcut to freedom.
Yeah.
Which can almost be worse.
Yeah.
Because you tend to grasp at straws a lot quicker when you're looking for freedom than when you're looking for power.
Yeah. That's true. Any port in the storm, as they say. Episode ended on a cliffhanger of sorts. With the
Madrid.
No. See, they kept saying Jaja. Jandi, thank you. Jandi floating up to confront his captors.
Yes. Okay. Real quick before we get to that, because I have a question for you for that.
Okay.
Okay. Question for just before that. Ford brings up the thing. Now, this A round is 6 seconds. Not each person's segment of the round is 6 seconds.
Yeah.
So these things are all from Initiative 25 to Initiative 1 are happening in the same 6 seconds. Ford does this, Bo runs around the corner. Is she seeing him raise the Spectre? Or is it already up by the time she gets there? Because the last thing he does is raise the Spectre. The first thing she does is run around the corner. Because his powers are getting really creepy really fast.
Yeah.
Which is the Hexblade, but...
Yeah, I think...
Does this become a talking point for the Nine? They've confronted him about the orb. They've confronted him about the salt water. Is she going to confront him?
I think you have to rule that Bo saw it.
I think so too.
Well, and just from the pure visuals, it's obviously from him.
Yeah.
It's got the barnacles. It's dripping water. It looks like it's from the sea.
Yeah. And she's got the insight to put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. Now, Marisha thought it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple people at the table thought it was awesome. But yeah, how are their characters going to feel about that?
Yeah. And we're going to start seeing that with my guy in the next few levels too.
Yeah.
The Warlock, because I'm the Undying act, and that gets pretty creepy. You know.
And I'm looking forward to playing with that.
Yeah, I know you are, and I'm excited for it.
So I think the Myriad is looking for vengeance. I think...
Okay, so my question about the Myriad. Do the Mighty Nine protect Algar?
And that's... Yeah. I do not know.
Yeah, I don't either. Ford at the end seemed pretty fine with letting the Myriad have its way with Algar.
Yes. And Caleb have been basically from the outset ready to kill this guy.
Right. And that again is another nail in my assertion that Ford may have started the campaign lawful good. He is not lawful good. He has not been acting lawful good.
Well, and we know from last campaign, Matt is not above saying, "Give me your character sheet."
Yeah.
There's your new alignment.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what he did with Pike.
Yeah.
When she tore the guy's throat out with the mace, who was helpless.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that's not really the actions of a good character.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. I think Matt has to seriously consider that with Ford.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine how Travis is going to rationalize that, except maybe that he decides on the flip side to protect Algar from the Myriad.
Yeah.
Maybe you could argue it, because I only took his hand, is what he's going to say. But, like, if I were Matt, I would come back and say, yeah, well, you sent him to a portal of hell and didn't care if he lived or died, 2 rounds ago. So
you ripped the soul from his bodyguard. You maimed him.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
Yeah.
When there were other ways
to take that off. And there were 2 metagaming moments in the last 2 rounds of that combat.
Yeah.
And they both were around that bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe Marisha when she complained 5 minutes ago that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
When she was going to run into the Hunger of Hadar but didn't, I fully believe she was going to run in there and rip that bracelet off of him.
Yeah, I fully believe that too.
But she forgot to say that that's what she wanted to do, and that's what she didn't say that as her action.
Right.
She wanted to pin him. And Matt allowed it to happen.
Yeah.
Also, there being no technical, mechanical way that she could do that. Because she's not a grappler.
Right.
So, which is one of the weird, unrealistic rules in the system.
Right.
Because even like with the the grappler feat, when you restrain somebody, you have the restraint condition as well.
Right.
Which I don't really like that either, because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because I know you can restrain somebody and move around.
Right.
So here nor there, she did restrain me. She's like, "Oh no, the bracelet," and Matt's like, "That's not what you said," and he sort of hardlined that.
Yeah.
And everyone at the table was practically begging to let her do it.
Yeah.
And then the second bit of metagaming is when Travis is like, "I'm gonna cut his hand off," and Laura was like, "You only need basically the timber was you only need to take it off." And there's a lot of crosstalk in this episode and a lot of whispering, and sometimes I was like, "Talk louder so I can hear you." Right. But shut up because they're talking.
Yes.
But in that is they were like, and then he's like, "Oh, well, I'll just take it off." And then it was like, and Matt was like, "What do you want to do?" And I think even Sam, I think it was Sam, who was like, "No, what do you want to do? Not what they wanted." Yeah. He's like, "I'm gonna cut his hand off."
Yeah.
And I think that's the nail in the coffin of the Mighty Nine in Nicodranus, I think. Mm-hmm. That dwarf's death, cutting his hand off. The only way they don't have to flee immediately is if the Myriad kills them. Mm-hmm. The remaining guys, thanks them, and toodles.
Yeah.
And they're left in an empty sluice weave with Jester's mom's problem and well, I guess that's really it, because the sluice weave was their connection to him. Yeah. There was no other reason for them to do that. So yeah,
I don't see them getting out of this in a good way.
No, and I think they're gonna be on that boat soon.
Yeah,
probably sooner.
We got about a minute left, a little less.
Yeah.
speculations for this next week, for this week's episode.
Well, I think we have the confrontation with Algar and the Myriad.
Right.
I think.
Well, that's a given.
Yeah, I think they get some of the consequences of their actions. I think they are going to, if the situation permits them, the next thing that they're going to do is go after the tower. And that tower is probably how the sluice weave was built.
Yeah. Right. My speculation. They're going to need to protect Algar to have any good come out of this situation they're in.
Yeah.
Jester, possibly Caduceus, probably Bo are going to convince them that, hey, we can't let this thing take this life.
Or they let him so they don't have to fight him and they bring him back. They have diamonds.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think if that happens, I don't see him. Like, if they save him, yeah, they attacked him. I mean, that's going to be the tipping point for him.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's my prediction. They're going to protect him.
Yeah. But Talks has started, so we will see you guys next week.
I guess.
And we'll see what we were right and wrong about.